So what do you do when you have an issue with your bike and you don't know for sure what it is? Well, stick around and I'll tell you how I tracked down what was wrong with mine with my fat tire bike here. So stick around and let's chat about that a little bit. Well, hello again, Internet. Welcome back to the channel. Yep, we had a problem right here.
Today, in the evening, Southern e-bikers' bike is making some strange noise. Tell me what y'all think it might be.
Yeah, that was a little bit of a problem. And so I knew it had to be something in my crank. I thought maybe the whole crank was maybe loose. But I did find a problem. As you can see, I'm on the fat tire bike now, and you're not hearing that. Watch a stick get caught in my spokes any second here, and click, 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 click. Oh, look, 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 look. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you how I diagnosed that a little bit. And I did film part of it, and so we're going to put that in, you know, when we get to that. We'll pop that in there. But first thing I had to do was figure out what it could be. And so that night that Michelle and I went out, well, I started turning my pedals and paying very close attention, because if I used the throttle, it didn't do that. So I said, okay, it's in my chain line somewhere. And so when I, what do we got there? Oh, branch. When I, yeah, when I used the throttle, nothing, it didn't have any sound. And when I used the pedals, yeah, there actually is something touching my brake line, or my brakes or something are touching, because that's just going when I'm drifting. But this was different. And it was when the right side pedal was being pushed down that I would get that sounding like, you know, metal on metal grinding there or something. I might have to speed this thing up and bed them brakes in a little bit, because I do hear a little bit of rotating, scraping. Might be the brake pads touching a little bit. But anyway, let's get back to the situation at hand here. So what I decided was, okay, it might be that whole bottom bracket is loose. And so I thought, oh man, I know that's got to have a cadence sensor in it somewhere. Really was not looking forward to messing with that. But then I thought, well, what if it is the crank arm? So I got home. Now, I've not been blessed with very much patience. I can tell you that, because as soon as I got home, I went in there and I thought, okay, let's try the crank arm. So I took that right side crank arm and I tightened it up some more. And I took off with it. And sure enough, that helped it a lot. It didn't make it disappear, but it helped it a lot. So, because I knew what it was, that was an evening ride. And so, you know, it was time to go on in, but I knew where it was. So the next morning I got up, went running out there, took off that side, and put some grease on the tapered bracket there. And I put some grease, there's a little bevel in there, put some grease on that. Well, you know, let's just talk about the other side for a moment. Now, I'll tell you, the side that I did first was a chain side, and the whole thing, the chain ring, the brake, the chain guard, it was all one unit. I was kind of a little shocked by that. I wasn't expecting that. But anyway, I went ahead and greased that up, and boy, did that help it out. And so when I got back, well, then I went ahead and grabbed the camera, you know, for a few minutes. Okay, guys, what we're going to do here is we're going to pull off this side crank. My lack of patience, I didn't wait to get it done to film the other side. Only difference is the chain ring and everything comes off. So first thing we're going to get, that's an 8mm Allen wrench. We're going to go ahead and take that off. Piece of cake. We'll put that into there. Now this is a crank puller, and you just thread this out. And now we're gonna go in a pretty big hurry because it's trying to rain on us right here. And we're gonna thread this in. Probably need to put a little bit of oil on it to get it started there. Well, there it goes. And we just thread that in. The way that this thing is held on here is it's just pressed onto there. And so this is going to turn in, and we're going to press it out of there. You might have to crack it pretty hard there first couple of times, but then it'll start easing up because that's just a tapered post on there. And there it is. So we're going to take this back off. A piece of cake to do. Now I'm going to get a rag and clean that up and some grease. And we're just going to clean that up. And we're going to clean up the inside here. And we're just going to pop a little grease onto that. And that's what was making that creaking sound, is that metal on metal, just kind of stressing a little bit. And we will pop a little bit on this as well. And we'll go ahead and make sure that that shouldn't even be touching in there, but it's not gonna hurt anything to be in there either. And now, of course, the big trick you wanna do is make sure you don't get your pedals this way where you're having to go like this to pedal. You wanna make sure that you put your pedal on the opposite side. I'm going to take a little bit of spray and spray this just to have something coating on the threads. We'll throw a little bit of lubricant on that. And as you can see, this is a couple minutes worth of a job, and that is it. Now it's just a matter of, you are going to want to tighten this down pretty well here, because what you're doing is you're using them threads to pull that onto that tapered post. And as I said, we tested this by tightening up on the other side. And everything worked out beautiful on that, so we knew what it was. And we ran that other side. The only difference between this side and the other side is the chain ring is attached to the crank on the other side. And so it comes off all as one unit. And that's not really a big deal. And we will check this after we've rode 4 or 5 miles and make sure that that's tight. Here we go. We are good to go on it now. So that ended up being a pretty good fix. But you know, the whole, I don't want to say the moral of the story, but the whole idea of this is what I had to do in the first place was, and I'm not a bike mechanic, believe me, I am not a bike mechanic, but I needed to just be very observant, and that's one thing that I am. I may not be a mechanic, but I'll tell you, when you make a living on horses, you learn to be pretty observant about what's going to happen. And so I was able to, you know, pay very close attention and break all the parts of the bike apart. You know, this has a hub motor on it, and so, you know, it doesn't take the crank to drive it or anything, so I made it go. It would only happen when you were accelerating or moving, and so I made it move without the pedals going. Well, no sound on that, no stress sounds on that. And so next, okay, well, it's got to be up here in the pedal assembly somewhere, because that eliminates anything in the back. It's not that. And so, you know, next we started messing around with that area right there where it was doing it. And because it was when that right side pedal was being pushed down was when it was the worst. That's why I went to that side first. And then we tested a little bit of it, and we, you know, I went home, I tightened it up. These are all things that we can all do and are safe to do. I went ahead and tested, tightened that up a little bit, see if that helps. Yeah, that helps. Okay, now we've identified where the problem is. Now how are we going to fix it? Well, you know, the next thing I had to think of is, well, is it just that it's not tight enough? And there was no way I would believe that that was not tight enough, because I had to tighten it pretty much to get it tighter than it was, and it did make a difference. So that would tell me, okay, if you want to get it any tighter, you're gonna have to weld it, and I really wasn't interested in welding it, and I didn't really think it needed to be welded. So if it's not that it's too tight, or that it's not tight enough, you know what, I know you want me to turn left, but I'm not going to turn left. I'm going to keep going this way. Where was I at there? You know, okay, so it's not a problem of being too loose, so I'm not going to be able to tighten it enough for that. So what else could be the problem? Well, there's obviously metal on metal moving. That's what the sound was, is metal on metal, you know. And so, all right, well, what do you do about metal on metal? Well, you lubricate it. What's the best way to lubricate it? Well, you know, best long-term way is going to be some grease. I could probably have sprayed some oil in there and it would have disappeared for a little while, but I think it would have been a very little while that it ended up disappearing. You know, which way do we want to go today? I'm thinking we might just drop down the hill and come back that other way. We never go that way. Or, well, I should say we rarely go that way. Hello, puppies. I'm not bothering you. I'm not spooking you. Let's see. You know, maybe we'll go down this way here. Maybe we'll run down this way. I'm completely going away from the tour now, though. You know, grease is going to be the way to go. So that's what we did, and sure enough, that fixed it. You know, I did not know. I even did the reason that film was like that is I told Michelle, hey, do a short of this. Let's see if we can figure out what it is. Well, I actually ended up getting it figured out, diagnosed before the short even before we even did anything with the short. So, you know, but we might still pop it up as a short. I don't know. We got no edge of the road on this one, boy. No edge of the road on this direction. Oh boy, that looked like a horse. but it barked. But anyway, so back to what I was saying. We're going to go ahead and wrap it up right there. But, you know, anytime you're having a problem, break it down into little steps like that. Not little steps, but little parts of it. Hey, where's it coming from? You know, you got a noise, where's it coming from? You got a jerk in your bike, a wobble in your bike. Well, when exactly is it happening? Is it happening under the throttle? Is it happening under pedals only? Is it happening when you're rolling? You know, not happening. But break it on down and see what you can come up with that way. And then just start, you know, diagnosing a little bit at a time. You don't have to be no great mechanic to figure these things out. They're actually, most of the things that you're going to see on your e-bike, issues that you have, they're going to be relatively simple. They're going to be relatively simple. And let's see, we're going to go ahead and reverse. We'll go ahead and reverse this route, being as I'm back on it but going the other direction. That's Stewardship Forest. I did not know that. But anyway, that is going to wrap it up for us on this one, guys. Like I said, get in there, diagnose these things, see what you can come up with, see what you hear, see what you feel, see what you see. And let's watch for this, because this road can get a little busy, especially in the evening here. But yeah, figure it out that way, because like I said, I'm not a bike mechanic. I'm kind of watching traffic here a little bit, so I got distracted a couple times on this, so I apologize about that. But and break it down and see what you can come up with. You might be surprised that you can come up with the solutions to a lot of problems without ever seeing a bike shop. So, hey, from right here in windy North Carolina roads, this is Southern E-Biking, and I'm telling you, stay safe, God bless, and keep the wheels turning. Once again, we're out.